Okay, we are on I always do that. Lesson 2.3. And this is multiples. Lesson 2.3, multiples. 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 Okay, we need to know what multiples are. Okay, multiples are answers. I guess that's not exactly the correct one I want to use. I had a different wording. Hold on. Let me erase this. Some of you are still reading anyways. Multiples are, I wanted to get a better wording for this definition. So it kind of is the answers. The results or answers when multiplying a number. Okay, so when earlier we looked at factors, and factors were all those different combinations to the one number that we were multiplying. Now what we have is multiples, and multiples are just the answers. I don't need anything else. I need just the answers. Okay. Another way I think about this is I think about it as answers when skip counting. If you can skip count, so if you can count by twos, if you count by fours, if you count by sixes, if you count by eights, you can find the multiples of a number. It is very, very easy. Okay, so for example, if I wrote directions here, we are going to find the multiples of, okay, I'm just going to circle this so that we can see that it's an example. Okay, maybe you underline it. It's just super hard for me to underline. Okay, here's number one. Okay, we're going to find the multiples of, let's do twos first. Okay, So when I find the multiples, all I do is skip count. Okay. If you do not know how to skip count, that's just counting by the same number over and over and over. So, for example, if I am skip counting by twos, in my head I would say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. I'm going to go up to 10. Okay. That is counting the multiples. Okay, it's the answers that I can get whenever I multiply by 2, and it's just the exact same way as skip counting. So I can say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. These are all the multiples because on my multiplication chart, if I were to look at the 2 right now, it would go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. It would do the exact same thing. I'm going to kind of square this off so that you can see it. Okay. And you can see going from 1 to the next, I add 2 each time. To go from 2 to 4, I added 2. 4 to 6, I added 2. 6 to 8, I added 2. I add the same number, which is 2, every single time. And if I kept going on and on and on and on, I would still be adding 2 every single time. If you know how to count by twos, go ahead and give me a thumb up. Okay, if I were to do, let's do another easy one. Let's do number 2 example. Example. Let's do 3s, multiples of 3. Okay, let's see if you can skip count by 3s. Okay, you can either skip count by 3s or you can look at that multiplication chart and go all the way across and write down all of those numbers that can be multiplied to get with 3. So I'm going to start here with 3, 6, 9, and then you go ahead and finish the rest. You can either, after 9, you can add 3 again. So I can add 3 here, I can add 3 here. Maybe you look at that multiplication chart and see what numbers come next. Or if you can skip count by 3s, go ahead and write those down. These are all the numbers that can be multiplied by 3 to get it. So this here is 3 times 1. Then we have 3 times 2, 3 times 3. Then you're going to keep going. What's 3 times 4, 3 times 5? All the way down that multiplication chart. You should have said 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. Times 6 is 18. Times 7 is 21. Times 8 is 24. Times 9 is 27. And I always like to do 10. 10's my favorite friendly number. Be 30. So if I were to count by threes, I could say 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. You can either add 3 every single time or start with multiplying by 1, then by 2, then by 3, then by 4, then by 5, then by 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 10. So there are so many different ways you could do this. If you looked at your multiplication chart and you just wrote them down, wonderful, but you are going to need to know your math facts at some point. And it's going to be some point very soon. Okay. Let's find the multiples of another number. I'm going to give you a minute to do this. Let's do multiples of... Let's do multiples of... Let me do a higher number that you cannot skip count with. Let's do multiples of 6. Okay, so skip counting by 6 is one way to do it. Starting with 6, we always start with times 1. Maybe you tell me 6 times 2 next, then times 3. Maybe you're doing the multiplying in your head. Maybe you're just looking at your multiplication chart and writing the numbers all the way across. Or maybe you're adding 6 every time. You can see there are 3 ways to do this. I will give you a minute to fill those out. Let me know when you're done. Okay, so I know when to keep going. Are you using your multiplication chart? Mm-hmm. Are you almost done? Almost. Because I'm moving on. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so if I were to look at my multiplication chart and go from left to right on that row of 6, I would see 6, then 12, then 18, then 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. Let's see here, where am I at? 6 or 7, 8, 9. I would get 54 and 60. Okay. If you were to look at your multiplication chart and do that. If you started at 6 and added 6 every time, you are taking the long route. If I were to add 6 each and every time to this number, at the end you would get 60. If you did it the other way and you multiplied, here's 6 times 2, 6 times 3, 6 times 4, 6 times 5, 6 times 6, 6 times 7, 6 times 8, 6 times 9, and 6 times 10. Whatever way works best for you. Okay? You do not have to do it all 3 ways. I have wrote them all out just so that you can see. Okay, if you only wrote down the multiples and you said, hey, I'm good, then you don't have to write down all that extra stuff that I did. But I want to explain it for all three types just in case you are one of those people. Okay, let's try one more. Let's try nines. This is our last one, starting with 9. Nines. Nines. Multiples of 9. Skip counting by 9. Multiplying by 9. Adding by 9. Some of you are still writing. That's okay. Just go ahead and double check with me after you are finished. I'm going to skip count by 9. So 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, and 90. Okay, that's just writing it from my multiplication chart. All of the numbers that I can get with I multiply by 9. Maybe you added 9 every time. That's going to take a really long time, but it's another way that you can do it. 9 times 1, 9 times 2, 9 times 3, 9 times 4, 9 times 5, 9 times 6, 9 times 7, 9 times 8, 9 times 9, and 9 times 10. Okay.